Hello, everyone. Welcome to SCoT. If it's your first time joining us, we welcome you from the SCoT team. And if you are with us again, welcome back to SCoT. Today, we are with you with another exciting topic from SCoT webinar series, which is the 57, the volume 57 of SCoT. We are with you apart from a number of satellite webinar series, around 20 or more. And we are with you today to create stories of destination together and destination brand storytelling is the subject of the webinar. We have distinguished speakers and panelists today, and we are going to have a panel discussion and question and answer as it is usual for SCoT webinars. Before we start the main panel and presentation, I would like to ask the president of SCoT, Professor Jafar Jafari, to invite us with the opening remark. Professor Jafari, the floor is yours.
Well, good morning and welcome everybody to this session of the SCoT webinar. We have a different story this time for you, a different narrative. But what we have in common among all the webinars is that we are bridging theory and practice, and the contents of the webinars have applications that could be used immediately in the field. This has been our intent, and I hope we are succeeding in translating theory into practice in this series. Dr. Kazim already mentioned that we have been doing this for a number of, we are going into the third year now. The topic of today is really interesting. There was a time I didn't know that there is such a subject, and I was actually doing the stories myself. I was a tour guide, and tour guides do lots of stories. But I didn't know there was a subject behind it. There was literature behind it. Later on, when I started studying tourism, I became familiar with this narrative and the importance of it in the field of tourism. So I experienced it as a guide, as a tour guide, and I delivered it as a tour guide. Now today I'm here to learn, to see how biased or representative I have been in the stories that I have told the tourist. As you can imagine, the stories could have many shapes and meanings and messages in them. Depends who is telling the story and which side of the country the storyteller is located, especially if there are two countries or some countries that have been fighting each other. And when the peace comes, I wonder which story is being told by whom. So some of these points may become more clear in the discussion. I do encourage you, if you become interested in this subject, to search for storytelling in tourism, and you would find lots of academic articles on this subject. So I'm here to learn from you, Dr. Moin, and your team, and welcome you and the audience to this session of webinar. Back to you, Kazim.
Thank you, Professor Jafari. Without any ado, let me introduce our main speaker today, who is going to explain the story of the webinar. And we are going to have a background and review of the theory. And then we link the theory and practice through the panel discussion after Dr. Moin's presentation. Dr. Moin is a senior lecturer, associate professor in marketing at Queen Mary University of London, and director of teaching associate at School of Business. He is an interdisciplinary researcher and published author in brand storytelling, strategy, leadership, and creativity and innovation. To get to know more about Dr. Moin, you can visit the website. We have prepared this webinar's webpage and the information necessary to get in touch with our speakers. I would like to save time here and without any ado ask Professor Moin to start his presentation. Dr. Moin, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much indeed. Thank you so much. Let me share my screen first and then I will. Okay. Okay, everybody, I think, can you confirm that you are seeing my slides? Can somebody just tell me?
Yes,
fantastic. So I'm very delighted to be with you today talking about promoting transformational tourism through narrative art, and that is destination brand stories. I'm also supported by Dr. Shivetla Estonova Boskova and Dr. Bahar Kazmi. They will also bring invaluable understanding during the discussion. So briefly, I'm just a storyteller and an academic. I'm passionate about storytelling and creativity. As you can see that I'm doing my creativity class in the Green Park. So the reason a story actually resonates with me is that I believe that a story reflects life. We are born and our life begins as a story. Anything we do that adds one line into our life story. We face challenges and we are transformed. At some point in time, we die, and what remains is nothing but a story. So what I'm going to do today is a bit of understanding about transformational tourism, the link between transformational tourism and destination brand storytelling. Then we talk about how destination brand tell stories, drawing on some research that I've conducted with some of my co-authors. We will also talk about why storytelling is a persuasive language and why any kind of branding, including destination branding, use that. And maybe at the end, we will throw some light on the future of storytelling, because we understand that the power is shifting from marketers to customers because of Web 2.0 user-generated content and the fourth industrial revolution and the immersive technologies that is driving us into a different future. So when I sort of think about transformational tourism, two fundamental questions come to my mind. What is it, and how is it different from tourism? Well, you understand that when a storyteller think about something, they quickly get into their world of fantasy. So same thing happened with me. As I was thinking about transformational tourism, I all on a sudden went into my little world of fantasy, and I met two travel consultants. One of them is Dr. Jojo, and another one is Dr. Mojo. And Jojo told me that in order to understand transformational tourism, first you need to understand what is traditional tourism. So in traditional tourism, you might be focusing on having good times, going different places, enjoying services. So it's like more of materialistic consumption, where happiness is a function of enjoyment. The more you can enjoy, the more happy you are. It's like 1, 2, 3 up to N. Then I met Dr. Mojo, and Mojo told me a different story. He said that, well, traditional tourism can give you a lot of pleasure. You can be happy, but there is always something that is existential emptiness within yourself. You feel empty inside you, who you are, and what is your purpose, and things like that. So there, transformational tourism, a different kind of tourism perspective, can be pivotal to make sense of our life into this world. So in a summary, what happened is that Dr. Jojo told me that tourism, when it is seen traditionally, it's about seeking pleasure and escaping from the mundane and regular and routine life and trying to pass some good time. But Mojo told me a different thing. He told me that it's about a transformational journey. So looking for purpose and meaning of life, that is much more important. Jojo told me that tourism is all about consumption of services, if you've seen it from a traditional perspective. But Mojo said that, no. It's about learning new things, mastering the art of living by developing a new kind of perspective to live in this world. Jojo said that in traditional tourism, services are seen as a transaction. We approach with a critical mind. Everything needs to be immaculate, perfect, because we evaluate every services critically. Mojo said that in transformational tourism, we approach with a creative mind. So it's about transformation of ourselves. So we want to see that how we can actually learn from each other in different kind of perspective. Jojo said that traditional tourism is like entertainment, how much fun we can have. But Mojo said that in transformational tourism, we are actually looking for enlightenment. We are trying to see the light at somewhere that can change our life. Jojo said that, well, if you go into a new country, obviously you are going to face a number of challenges. Challenges could be seen as a disruption into your expectations and the experiences you are having in traditional tourism. So we want to do everything whereby there are minimum challenges. But Mojo said something else. He said that, well, challenges are there, but we approach challenges positively. We see that these are way of transformation. I asked Mojo, well, if there are challenges, there might be sort of difficult situation for your travelers. How do they manage that? He said that, well, the transformational tourists, they have a different perspective. If they're in a difficult situation, they possibly know that what Dante wrote 700 years before, that it is not the circumstances that define us, but it is what we do to come out of the circumstances. So in our crisis and darkest moment, possibly that moment we focus on the light and we see the light. So challenges are not a big problem. Mojo said that in traditional tourism, we are looking for identifying the dots. So many services, many kind of cultures, we focus on that. We want to experience that. Mojo said that that's fine, but transformational tourists, they not only identify the dots, but they want to connect the dots using a mindset where they can see the unconnected. So they want to create a grand narrative and get a big picture view. So they use a system theory, and that tells them a different story. Joseph said that diversity is sometimes seen as a friction, but Mojo said something else. Mojo said that, well, diversity is like a creative friction. So it forces you to see things differently and then create something different. So it's not about just experiencing, it's about who you become, that is about becoming. I was really fascinated. And as a marketeer, I wanted to understand this thing using the hero's journey framework that we often used in storytelling. I could see that traditional tourism and transformational tourism both has a traveling, both has a journey. But traditional tourism is just like an outer journey, whereas transformational tourism is sort of an internal journey. Mojo responded right at that moment. He said that, yes, you are absolutely correct. So it's about transformation. I said that, what kind of transformation are you talking about? He said that, well, if you approach with a spiritual and philosophical tradition, you'll be sort of looking at freedom, self-actualization, enlightenment, awakening, unity of consciousness, divine realization, and so on. I told him, are you talking about the 6 types of heroic transformation? that we marketers use in Hero's Journey? He said that possibly, but can you explain me what are those? So I told him that in Hero's Journey, we call about a transformation which is emotional transformation. It sort of changes the heart, your heart, through which you can grow empathy and you can relate with others. And we call it compassion. But there is also a spiritual transformation that changes your belief system. And we call it transcendence. Something like nirvana in Buddhism, samadhi in Hinduism, fana in Sufism, or satori in the Japanese Jain tradition. Our discussion kept going. I said that, well, you can also, spiritual transformation, you can also seek from reading the books. Because if you read the Quran, you see that God has said that he has created this seven sky so immaculately. And if you try to find the mistakes and you keep watching, your eyes will be defeated, but you will not be able to find any mistake in the creation of God. He said that, is it only the book, is sacred book that we get this kind of wisdom? I said, no, there are another book, and that is the book of nature that scientists normally look at. So if you look at the book Einstein and Religion, where Einstein profoundly said that if you sort of look at this grand design of the universe, you will be mesmerized with this subtle design. And obviously there has to be a designer. And from that perspective, Einstein claimed that he is very religious. So obviously when in tourism, the relation is that if you go different places and if you see different countries, and actually what you see the story created by God, that is the places, the mountains, the rivers, the sea, but at the same time, people are also adding to it because they are bringing different culture. Here, Michio Kaku said something very, very profound. He was looking at the universe, not just a country per se, but the whole grand universe. And he's, you know, that he's known as the modern day Einstein, who has also created the string theory and the theory of everything, and provided the answer that Einstein could not actually do with his 30 years of research and died. So he said that if you look at all this symphony, that can be reduced within the string, and physics can be explained as the harmony of this string. And the chemistry is the melody that you play within themselves. Universe is the symphony. And all you see, these are like the cosmic music that is in the mind of God. So spirituality is a big paradigm, actually, that advances the concept of transformational tourism. So I say that there is another kind of heroic transformation, which is mental transformation. It's like intellectual growth. You develop wisdom. So you can see what some people may not see within their normal eyesight. But then also there is moral transformation, a dramatic shift from immorality to morality. We call it redemption. There is also motivational transformation. And motivational transformation sometimes promote creativity, and sometimes we call it calling. So here is a great example that Richard Branson was in this space. He was in a space tourism. And he was explaining his feeling, the kind of feeling he had in this space. He was saying so profoundly that when he was a child with a dream looking up to the stars, but now he's an adult, 71 years old, on his spacecraft in a space tourism, looking at this Earth, and to next generation of dreamers, he's saying that if he can achieve what they can achieve. So this transformational tourism sometimes unlocks our creativity. We can imagine that we cannot when we are in our ordinary world. Now, let's come to transformational tourism and genre, because these are enmeshed. So genre, what is genre? Mojo was very interested when I brought this topic of genre, quoting the renowned screenwriter John Truby. I told him, once you understand all human life in a form of a story, the next step becomes clear. Genres are the windows to the world. So through genres, you can see each and every country. You can explain each and every experience in a different way, depending on which genres you are using. For example, if you are talking about myth, myth is a journey to discover oneself and gain immorality, sort of understanding or discovering yourselves in the context of various new settings, that is various destination places. But if you want to bring it at a kind of short term, take one journey on one travel, fantasy is about finding the magic in the new world and in ourselves to turn life into art. So fantasy is a very popular when it comes to transformational tourism, because destination brands, they tell stories most of the time using the hero's journey, and they use the fantasy genre. What they do, they understand that every place is a story, where a space has been turned into a place by humans' art of living, and that resonates with the nature. So the culture is a package of a story, and you can learn from different culture a lot. So the way I say it is the art of God, which is the creation of place, and the art of people, that is the creation of culture. Now, genres and the tourism are enmeshed, especially transformation tourism. And if you try to understand it using different genre, for example, I just told you the myth or fantasy, you will see that the experience you have during your transformational journey, you can see this with different colors and shapes. It will allow you to ask life's big questions so that you can seek meaning, and it will also shape your life philosophy. So not only you will learn how to tell great stories about yourself and the places you have visited, but also you will learn the art of living. So how to live a great life that transcends ordinary. So now let's come to destination brand storytelling. How destination brands tell stories. Well, as I told you, that hero's journey, that is mostly seen through fantasy genre, sometime myth, because Joseph Campbell talked about monomyth. It's kind of the fundamental framework when you want to promote and develop transformational tourism stories, particularly by the brand. But obviously, when customers are sharing their stories, it can come into many forms. So it has a fundamental world, that is your ordinary world, your world, where you have certain perspectives, certain world view, where you take the travel, that is the new world, extraordinary world, where you are amazed with different experience. You go through challenges, you overcome challenges, you gain wisdom, then you come back as a different person. That's sort of fundamental thing. So you can see that Joseph Campbell's this hero's journey has been used by many authors, and many people wanted to simplify this thing, these 17 stages, into different stages, like shortening the thing. Vogler is one of them who shortened it to 12 stages, where he was showing that it is like traveling, toiling, and transcending. So what I did in one of the research is that we have developed a sort of a conceptual model And we wanted to understand that how destination brand tell stories. So this model, as you can see, that we have used hero's journey. Then also we looked at the kind of narrative archetype that is the character they have used within the commercial, that is we call that tactical stories. And then we also looked at what kind of traits those commercial used for their heroes. Then we saw what kind of principles of storytelling has been used in those commercial. And we also looked at that the kind of experiential outcome the commercials is focusing on. And a story type under that, we looked at the brand slogan, story theme, and brand messages. So we deeply analyzed 6 commercial because this was identified by a number of MBA students that I was teaching, and I asked them to find out the compelling destination brand commercial that has moved their hearts and minds. And then we reduced it, and these were the top, come at the top of their choice. So one was the Australian commercial, the promoting Australia. Another was beautiful Bangladesh, land of rivers. Then there was also a commercial from Brazil, the world meets in Brazil. Then there was a South African tourism video, Leave Ordinary Behind. Then another was the Visit Scotland adverts. And finally, there was one from Californian tourism, which was very different, like say it was promoting imagination, creativity, and so on. Today, I will just focus on one commercial only. So I will run that commercial. And so let me stop sharing and share again so that you can hear the sound. If you don't hear the sound, please let me know. Fix it. Okay. Just a second.
যত দেখি প্রাণ ভরে না হৃদয়ের মাঝে রাখি তারে
Happiness needs no reason. This is what you will feel when you come here. Things that you will do, people that you will meet, will keep on surprising you. Be with the sun. Be with the mystic wind.
যতই দেখি প্রাণ ভরে না তাই হৃদয় মাঝারে রাখি তারে ও যতই দেখি প্রাণ ভরে না তাই হৃদয় মাঝারে রাখি তারে
Your mind is a traveler. Now let your heart be the tourist guide. Explore the land of surprises. You'll find warmth you've been looking for all your life. everyone has a story to tell.
যত দেখি প্রাণ ভরে না।
So when you leave with stories that you can treasure, friends that will last a lifetime.
যতই দেখি প্রাণ ভরে না, তাই হৃদয় মাঝারে রাখি তারে। ও যতই দেখি প্রাণ ভরে না, তাই হৃদয় মাঝারে রাখি
Welcome
তারে।
to beautiful Bangladesh, a land of stories.
Okay, I think you have heard the sound probably. So I will again share my slide. So I will just change the setting. Okay, so are you seeing my? Okay, so you can see that this commercial actually that tells that how destination brand promote their stories. Because in Bangladesh, every person has a story. Every family has a story. And you have seen that this Western character, they brought a Western character because they were targeting the Western people to come into this country. And he was even living with the local family. He was trying local food, but he was taking journey, all the challenges. Sometimes it was very difficult for him. But when he come out to his own country, he learned how to live in two worlds, both worlds, Eastern world and the Western world. And that's profound. And he understands that meaning or the happiness has different connotation in life. So you can see that some of the things I will not just go into detail, but these are the all these 6 commercial. And we have seen that they have got different brand slogan, different brand message, different story theme. And you can also see that they have also used different kind of hero, the character, and so and so on. And you might also see that they have actually used different stages and of the hero's journey. So you can see that most of these stages has been used by the Bangladeshi tourism commercial. And I mean, yeah, so this is something, I mean, obviously you can read this paper if you want. It is available completely free in Google Scholar. And so let's talk about a little bit why storytelling matters. So I will not go deep. Very quickly I'll finish because so that my discussion, they can bring invaluable idea and knowledge. Well, in any marketing or any persuasive communication, a story matters because it nurtures our heart and influences our mind. Something Aristotle told long time ago, around 2,500 years before. But he said that in storytelling, it is such a package that it includes 3 things very well. One is ethos, logos, and pathos. So ethos is credibility. To make it credible and to make it relatable, stories use character. That's why you have seen that in this commercial, we have used character. Because with the character, somebody relate with the character. So if a Western person is watching this this commercial, they can relate, a Western man. And you are going to see another actually commercial where you will see that was the hero is a female, Western female. So Western, because they are targeting the Western people to come into the country and have some Eastern way of living. So you use different kind of character so that your audience can relate to. Then you have to use the emotion as well. Because character will hold your hand and bring you into the story world, but emotion will create the attachment, will keep you there. Something also known as aesthetic emotion. That is emotion used so artistically that it becomes an aesthetic. An example is Hamlet. If you have seen Hamlet and if you have seen how Hamlet died, probably you will never forget the death of Hamlet, but he might have forgotten many deaths that happen in front of your eyes even. So that is what is the art that the storytellers create emotion in such a way that it is unforgettable. But is emotion enough? It's not enough, because we also have a rational mind. So that's why we need to use the logos, that is logic. And this is manifested by facts, data, statistics. Here the marketers, they talk about benefits and features and other things. So when you can create a symphony of ethos, logos, and pathos, and use it artistically within a story, use character, use plot, and leave a message. Message is very important, because messages bring the meaning. It's no more entertainment only. So this is one of this way. So now we look at two things when we develop the compelling story. That customer should develop empathy, and empathy for the characters they can relate to. But it also creates suspense or the curiosity, so that people will ask what happened next. By that way, you keep the audience into the story world. Now, let's talk about future of destination brand storytelling. Obviously, when we talk about future of destination brand storytelling, we should not only limit it to destination brand storytelling. We should just talk about future of marketing or the future of storytelling. So this is a book, The Whole New Mind. They put a context before I talk about it. And they said that in previous couple of decades, few kind of people, they were dominating this world. And these were the computer programmers who could crank the code, the lawyer who could craft the contracts, the MBAs, Master of Business Administration executives, who could crunch the numbers. But because we are now living in the imagination age, the key to the kingdom has changed. So in this imagination age, those who will be dominating this world through fascinating story they create are different kind of people. They are not just the left brainers. They use left brain and the right brain both. So these are artists, innovators, designers, big picture thinkers, empathizer, storytellers, meaning makers. So the magic will be unfolded at the intersection of human mind and technology. That's why possibly Steve Jobs said that it is the technology married with liberal art. That is the ultimate magic. So you can see that the boundaries of storytelling is pushed forward. Our horizon is getting extended and extended. Although our world is getting smaller, but experiential world is extended because of new technologies coming into our life. So digital revolution, immersive storytelling, and artificial intelligence, social media that transcends time and space and connecting people across the world 24/7, and the changing consumer behavior. These are redefining the art of storytelling with the touch of new technologies. So what kind of things that we are trained, we are looking at, is that we are seeing that there is a new creative renaissance. And this is sort of commercial, moving from advertisement to an art. So like, it's kind of a movie, it's kind of cinematic that will nurture your soul and trigger your imagination. So it is not just information, but also imagination. So not just giving information, but turning the switch that will trigger your imagination. As you know that J.K. Rowling said that we all have magic inside us. So the commercial has to unfold this magic so that there is conversation on the digital platform, and people also start sharing their stories. So this kind of a story will turn every tourist into a character, and they can see that what Shakespeare said, that we all are the characters in the world stage. So they have a role to play. So when they go for a transformational tourism and they are transformed, they will not just contain within themselves. They will spread this message. They will share this thing. And they will feel that they have a character and they have a unique role to play. It's about connecting the dot, which Einstein said about associative thinking. The big data will help us to understand the customers very, very well, so we can create more personalized brand stories that will trigger even the creativity and imagination of these customers. We can create a fictional world. That is the world created with fiction and facts, and people will love to live in this world. So this kind of commercial will invite you into a hero's journey even before you embark onto the journey. So you can fly with your mind and navigate with your heart. There we can see creative revolution at the intersection of art and science. And meaning will be created by co-creation that will break the clutter and continue to trump the art of storytelling. I will finish there, and so that my discussant, they can add some value. So stop sharing.
Thank you, Dr. Moin. A very comprehensive and detailed information on the traditional and transformational tourism, from the consumption of the material side of travel to the spiritual, educational, memorial, and to the story, the world of imagination, and the more of material side of tourism. All are side by side. So we are going to continue discussing, and we'll come back to this topic with the panel discussion after we have a short break that we call it actually a cultural break. I would like to ask our audience to move, stretch, grab their coffee or other drinks, and come back while they're watching the videos that Dr. Moin and other speakers recommended for this cultural break. I would like to ask the SCoT admin to show the videos, please.
Oh কেন পিরিতি বাড়াইলা রে বন্ধু ছেড়ে যাইবা যদি
Come again. Thousand more rivers are waiting for you.
Thank you very much. We had a very good visual understanding of the destination. I think Dr. Moin is going to talk more about the stories of the destination that he's focusing on, and we are going to have the panel discussion. Let me introduce the other two panelists that we are going to have in the panel after Dr. Moin. We have Dr. Svetla and Dr. Sayed Bahar. Dr. Svetla is a principal lecturer in tourism strategy and change and deputy head of Department of People and Organization at Dartmouth University Business School. Dr. Svetla has a lot of community collaboration and working history with UN WTO, and I have the pleasure to work with her in several occasions and in UN WTO events. Also, we have Dr. Kazmi. He is a senior lecturer at Austin Business School. He is a senior fellow of the Higher Education Academy and a winner of Excellence in Learning and Teaching Practice Award, Boston University in 2018. We have the pleasure of inviting the speakers to the panel, and we are going to continue with the subject of storytelling. If I may ask the first question, of course, we have Dr. Jafar with us to continue this discussion. I would like to start with the concept of a story as a tourist production. And I am going to ask this question to Dr. Moin first, to ask your idea about what do you think about this story? What kind of tourist production can be the story of the destination? And I would like to ask Dr. Svetla and Dr. Kazmi to also share their ideas on this. Dr. Moin, please.
Okay, I will very briefly talk because I already made a presentation, leaving opportunity for others. But I will say that in the new environment, tourists actually inspired to actually identify themselves as a protagonist. So that means they find their desire, they discover their purpose, and they want to achieve that. And maybe new environment can give them a lot of clues and a lot of kind of viewpoints and perspective so that they can redefine their story. So obviously, as we said, that the place is a story, but humans are also a story within that place. Place work as a setting, and humans are the characters within that setting. And the beautiful and artistic enmeshing of these two things make the destination story and bring this story to life. So with this brief answer, I would like to actually allow others to talk.
Thank you, Dr. Moin. Sorry, I was muted. Dr. Svetla, please.
it's one of these kind of broad, but also can be very specific answers to provide. I listened very carefully to Dr. Moyne's presentation, and actually it raised quite a lot of questions. And one of these questions is just what you, Professor Kazem, asked. And it's how exactly storytelling can be used in promoting transformational tourism and looking at tourist experiences, but also looking at destinations, the experience of the host as well. So I'm happy to share some of my experiences later, but perhaps just to look at one of these fundamental questions that I keep asking myself: how do we define transformational tourism for the purpose of destination branding? Do we all have the same understanding? Do we have a very good definition which could be used by practitioners? And we are aware that the storytelling approach in destination branding actually has received a lot of attention only in the last probably 5 to 6 years. It's not a new concept, absolutely not. It goes back to the Victorian England, and actually even before that to the Odyssey and so on. So it's not new, but it hasn't been researched well enough. And as Dr. Moyne already said, it hasn't been well employed by destination management organizations or tourist authorities to tell their stories. But there are good examples, and I'm going to share them later, because I thought I could perhaps just refer to the last 2 journeys, the last 2 trips I've made. So when we talk about storytelling, the key words that come through research, and I can see that through scholarly research, these are the words linked to self-changing, self-development, self-improvement, self-responsibility, self-realization, self-reflective, self-monitoring, self-transformation, personal information, change in self, and so on. The list is quite long. But this also links to another topic which is very close to my heart: leadership. And it seems, looking at the literature published on transformational tourism, in addition to tourist experiences, leadership is one of these topics or themes which emerges very strongly. And if we look at all these different attributes or words that we associate with transformational tourism, these are all actually traits of leadership. Therefore, transformational tourism really has a lot of potential, a lot of meaning and value. And I have to say this, and I'll leave part of my points for later. But I have to say that I started my career as a tour guide as well, and very quickly realized that storytelling is actually what the visitors, the tourists, really appreciated. And it all started from there. It all started with the personal journey and the needs of those who actually travel. What exactly do they want to discover about themselves, about the destinations they visit, and start from there. So I'll stop at this point. And like I said, later on, I'm happy to share some of the videos that I revisited after my trips. Thank you.
Thank you, Svetla. Let me call Dr. Kazmi.
Hi, thank you very much, Professor Kazem, Professor Jaffer, and Professor Malcolm. And really, I'm so privileged to be here to have another very good session from Dr. Moyne. And I think, as everyone knows now, I think that he's an excellent storyteller. He can tell a story of the research in a very fascinating way. I think the question, Professor Kazem, you just have asked about, I can reflect on it from 2 different perspectives. One, I think if I correctly understand the way transformational storytelling has been articulated by Dr. Moyne, I think what is offered to people is to become a protagonist in a story itself. So when you look at these destinations are not offering anything which is specially created for them. But what they are asking, I think, to tourists, if we would define that as a tourist, that they can actually become a hero, a protagonist in that particular story which is being offered to them. So they can become a part of that story which is already going on. It doesn't require a tourist per se, because that story unfolds as a life in that destination. And anyone who is interested and can be motivated to experience that life in totality can also become a protagonist. So I think the tourist as a character in these transformational tales are very different from those tourists which are being attracted by a particular object of pleasure. They are not being asked to play a role. They are being asked to come and enjoy a particular pleasure or the objects of the pleasures per se. But these transformational tales actually, to some extent, offering a very different kind of narrative to them. The second thing is, which I find it quite interesting, is that these stories are being told from the first person account, which means that they are very contextualized, in a sense that you could see yourself doing all those things. Whether you would achieve the transformation or not, that is something which is very personal and subjective. But it seems like the way this phenomena or these particular destinations are being presented, they are presented to in a way where you can actually see that it is a very first-person account of a life which can be transformed through going through those particular actions. I think there's a very clear doing part of it, that you just don't go and enjoy being a spectator there. You go and do something which is so different, which is the participation in that culture, that by doing that, you can achieve something which is yours, in that case, the memories. So I would say that tourist as a character is very different in these stories, and the destination is very different in these transformational stories compared to, when you decide to go, for example, when you go to, let's say, Kenya, the one thing which you would like to do is to go and do safari, right? But the safari is presented not an experiential, in which you are not a protagonist, you are a spectator rather than a participant in a story or a hero in a story. I think that is a primary distinction one can make. I think Dr. Moin has given quite a sort of useful way to approach both ways of articulating the destination and the tourist in that destination. Transformational, I think I would still be a bit reluctant to fully sort of label it transformational. I would still consider it that there's a possibility of transformation, but not necessarily a transformation which you intend to do while going through that experience. So you go with an intent, but whether you would get a transformational journey and leave with a certain type of transformation, I think that is something which is very subjective, but it is certainly being presented in that way. So I'll stop here. And
thank you, Dr. Kazmi. Very deep answer. Dr. Jafar, would you like to comment here?
Yes, I have a hard time to add comments to what has been said. This take us to the deeper layers of storytelling. And I was trying to put this together in my own mind. And my conclusion is that stories are a universal tool for human thought and perception transformation. And a number of issues came to my mind. To understand this, do I need to know psychology? Do I need to know anthropology? Do I need to go geography, political science, international relations, history, and on and on and on? And my conclusion at this time is the totality. It goes through so many layers, deeper layers. And a question that many questions came to my mind. I'm learning. I'm not teaching. I'm learning. For example, there was no mention of backpackers. Are backpackers going through transformational journeys? There is such a rich literature on backpackers. They're usually individuals, and the character in Bangladesh video was individual, one person. And they go through a long journey in the terms of time and inner journey. They can even evaluate their own transformation as they move on. But the beauty that I see in backpackers literature, it also talks about what they bring home. Being transformed on the journey is one thing. How much of that you bring home and put it into action is entirely something else. So I was hoping that I would get some comments on this one from Dr. Moin and team. It's a fascinating subject. And as I mentioned in my earlier years, I was a tour guide and I was telling storytelling, but the tourists were my consumers. My intent was not to transform them. My intent was to inform them about the sights and sounds and experiences that they were giving. This presentation today is much, much deeper narrative or analysis of storytelling and transformation. So if I may go back to the question that I have in my mind, how much of backpackers' experience is transformational, and whether the persons know that they're going on this journey, or they discover while they are on the journey that they are in an inner journey. In other words, do they go with the inner journey in mind, or would that become evident to themselves when they are doing that? The backpackers may have that chance in the sense that they may not be going on transformational journey, but they realize that they are going because they go for an extended period of time, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. That gives them enough time to travel within themselves in search of who they are and compare it. And one point, that these videos were shown to us as a sort of branding videos. In the sense of Bangladesh, a man was used for the narrative. And I wonder if it was intentional to have a man rather than a woman. I know you don't have this answer, but it's a question that comes to my mind because of circumstances. Dr. Moin, to you and the team, of course.
Okay. Do you want me to take on this question, because some valuable comment came? Is that okay, Professor Kazim?
Of course, please.
Okay, fantastic. I think all of the discussants have brought some invaluable knowledge into the table. So let's start with like Shibetla. I think Shibetla, as she said, that she has got some fascinating experience, which I think when she will share, that will enrich us. Kazem was telling about it's a protagonist. Yes, that is, I absolutely agree that the character in a transformational story has to do something. So they are not just a spectator or this, they are not just watching something, but they are doing something. So they are protagonists, as I told you, that they go through struggles and they go through a process of transformation. Coming back to Professor Jafar's point, actually, Bangladesh created a number of commercials where in one commercial, they have used a male character that I have shown. During the break, there was a commercial that was a male and a female both. But there were also commercials just came very quickly side by side. There was also a commercial where female character was used. And there were also commercials where the family has been used. So they used a series of commercial under a campaign so that everybody can relate with some kind of characters. So obviously, yeah, we have to use different kind of character because we cannot just say that only male or female will go through the transformation alone, but they can go through transformation when they are in group as well. So if we look at whole campaign where the different commercials are there, we will definitely see all these characters. Regarding to backpackers, I would say definitely backpackers stories are very, very powerful because they are actually, first of all, I would see backpackers in this way, that before even backpackers are on a journey, I think there is some kind of transformation within themselves as well, because they are only carrying little bit with them, and they are focusing more of having the experience. So if their luggage is lighter, they can experience better because they have got better movability. So I would say that backpackers are actually true characters within the settings, and they are kind of a mobile camera kind of things. And they are seeing this new world, and they are telling this story, and they are having different kind. They are having a journey like 6 months, 3 months. So their reflection is much more. But I didn't particularly mention about backpacker, but definitely backpackers is a part of transformational tourism. Now, I also agree with one point that Dr. Kazmi mentioned, that not necessarily transformational tourism, because not everybody will go through transformation, that is sure. But I think the word transformational tourism, it's kind of a marketing terminology. So it influences people to actually embark on a hero's journey so that they are sort of attracted. And then when they are attracted with a kind of focused purpose and an objective, they can try to see that when they are having the journey, because there is a law, like law of attraction. So yeah, I think these are sort of backpackers will also bring invaluable literature that fits within the transformational tourism. So I would like to actually pass this now. So if others, Shibetla and others, can add some experience and add some more value.
Are you happy for me to pick this up?
Yes, please.
All right. So looking at the different aspects of transformational tourism, backpackers is only one of the perspectives which is being considered. Recently, 2022, we've got a systematic review of the literature published on transformational tourism. And we can see that actually number one, when it comes to transformational tourism in terms of studying that particular phenomenon. So number one is actually given to pilgrimage tourism. So we've got different aspects there: backpackers, volunteer tourism, we've got pilgrimage tourism. We also have the existential humanistic approaches when it comes to transformational tourism. The concept of co-creating experiences, again, host-tourist relationships. Ecotourism appears as a very important aspect as well. So this probably, shows how broad as a concept is transformational tourism, which very often raises with me the question, can all the different types of tourism be transformational? And I guess at this stage, I think I'm probably convinced that all types of tourism can be transformational, not just the ones that I've just mentioned, and which actually came through the systematic literature review published 2 years ago. And going back to what Moin said, can everyone go through the transformation? Not necessarily. We've got this saying, which I remember, from one of my first, the academics that I worked with, and I know it is a very popular saying, travel broadens a broad mind, and obviously narrows a narrow mind. So I think it is important to understand that transformation will not be for everyone, but at the same time, travel can be transformational, inspirational, to motivate people to actually undertake that journey. And at this point, if I refer to an example which I had in mind, and it comes from my last trip. And is that all right? Do I have a couple of minutes? Yes, okay, because I can see you nodding. Now, I've deliberately selected this one. I think I could see in the list of participants today, at least one participant who comes from that particular destination. So I noticed two approaches to designing and creating the promotional videos for that particular destination. So one of these is more traditional, I would say traditional as a marketing approach. And this is, I'll read a little bit of the text, and it will be interesting to see if that participant can recognize whether that's their own destination. And it also links very nicely to all the keywords which go with transformational tourism. So what do we have there? So the text of the promotional video is, why do we escape? Peace, a change of pace, or is it for something more? Escape is a chance to seek shelter from the monotony of everyday life, a chance to explore, to be inspired, a chance to see calm and excitement, to find them both here. And escape is what you make of it. Find your escape. So this is one of these promotional videos which I watched, and this is developed by the Destination Tourism Authority. It has already 23 million views, and probably counting, which brings another question. How do we know how effective are these promotional videos which actually promote actively transformational tourism? Now, this particular video is focusing on Al Ain in Abu Dhabi. But there is another one which, if not even not following the hero's journey, which Dr. Moin presented, actually presents a very interesting different point, and that's the faces of the destination. So those of you who have traveled to Abu Dhabi might have actually, like me, seen the onboard entertainment. And there are 10 episodes of the Faces from Abu Dhabi, the stories of ordinary people. Now, that's for me, I felt that was an absolute brilliant example of storytelling, using the local people tell their stories and really show what the destination has to offer for every different types of travelers. So I thought this was very, very strong approach to storytelling, and this practically is very different from the approach which is adopted by the Japanese, for instance, authorities. And there is a study, and I'll just briefly mention it. There is a study, very recent one, which measures the effectiveness of storytelling as opposed to only scenic images and music. And it shows that while those destination promotional videos using images and music provide quite a lot of different excitement and are very, very attractive and enjoyed by the audiences, those that actually offer the memorable experience, and those that stay in them in the mind of the people who watch them, are those with the storytelling. So there is a very good and very strong message there for the destination management authorities, what type of destination promotional videos they can actually work towards. Right, I think I've been talking too much, so I'll stop at this point, and I will pass to Dr. Kazmi.
Dr. Kazmi.
And I just have a very quick, actually, I have several colleagues around who are expert in marketing and various aspects of marketing literature. So the one thing from storytelling point of view, if I would look at, and I think I mentioned it before, try to rephrase it. In each story, the most important part is the transformation of the protagonist, him or herself, right? So any story we take, if that transformation doesn't take place, then the story is a little bit dull, maybe really flop. So one of the important part of any script which we write and we develop around story is that some sort of a transformation of characters, not just one, several characters will take place. Not necessarily the place where they live or the kind of culture or activities they do, but there is a very clear sort of from characterization point of view that some sort of a transformation should take place. Now, what I have seen is that, of course, this is a transformational tourism, but somehow or other, there is a need to perhaps to think about what kind of that transformation will take place to the individual who will go through that experience. And I think I go back to Professor Jaffer's comment, which means to go back and look at this internal journey and how that journey, which they will take as a physical individual across various times and spaces, cultures, how that internal journey, which is the transformational journey, takes place within that material conditions. And I think I would like to get a comment, but I would be very interested to know that when we talk about transformational, we are talking about an individual transforming him or herself through that particular material destination activity. But what that transformation is very difficult to capture, I suppose, in a marketing sense or from a marketing perspective. But what it can offer is a glimpse of the possible transformation which can take place. But is there a discussion in that area? So I'll stop here.
Professor Jafari, are you going to answer? Or maybe before I pass it to you for the final conclusion, what comes to my mind listening to the explanations is that I want to raise the issue of the commercialization of storytelling itself. Because storytelling, and as I heard from Dr. Kazmi, the inclusion and the people who are creating the story, their livelihood, lifestyle, their culture, and so on, and how much the real story is represented by the commercial storytelling. And this is one point that I want to raise and see if storytelling should or should not be commercialized. And if yes, what are the techniques or what are the limits of transforming or the transformation concept to make this storytelling and tourism itself sustainable? and how much storytelling is for or toward the tourist or the people in the destination. I just want to give a particular example. In Japan, for example, that we have tourists from urban to rural areas in Japan, and people from big cities like Tokyo, Osaka, they visit small villages and they bring their own stories. They are seeking people or the host, not doing much, but listen to their stories because they do not find anybody to listen to their stories in the big, busy environment that they are living. So the best tourism environment that they can find is the patient people who have the patience to listen, and usually they are the grandpas and grandma in the village, that they are very patient to listen to these stories that people bring with them to the destination. Thank you very much. So far, it has been very deep discussion, and I think we need another or a few more webinars to go in depth to this topic. But as usual, I am going to pass the difficult job to Jafar again, and see what is Jafar going to say in the final conclusion. Professor Jafari, floor is yours.
Well, you always give me tough assignments. Thank you. Actually, I would like to begin with a question and then talk about application. The word or the concept of spiritual tourism was not mentioned either. I was wondering to what extent spiritual is locked into transformational. Is one bigger than the other? Are they the same? So this is my conceptual question. And I don't have conclusions because I'm learning myself. My applied question is, after all, the discussion, it was leading to branding and marketing. And I noticed in the videos that we watched, there were young people, the actors were young people, like backpackers. From marketing point of view, would a country, a host country, be interested in that market? Because we know young people don't spend money. Yes, they want to be transformed. They want to experience. But what does the country want? Money, per capita expenditure. I think the gentleman we saw featured in the first video would have spent very, very little money, in my opinion. So is this, how would this fit in transformational concept or in the marketing concept? And if a lot of people like the gentleman we saw in the videos or the couple that we saw in the other video, if a lot of them come and the video is very successful, we get something called over-tourism. So over-tourism, transformational, would work when there is hospitality, willingness of the host to open his arms and mind to the tourist. But if over-tourism arrives, then hospitality becomes hostility, and at the end, there would be no transformational tourism. So I would like to come to these practical aspects of it. Dr. Moin and panelists, what advice do you have for destinations who want to make money via tourism, but they want to have clean tourism, good tourism? Thank you.
Dr. Moin.
Okay, so I'm not being honest with you, actually. Some of the questions that you have asked actually is very thought-provoking question. And I myself is not a tourism expert. I'm just a storytelling enthusiast and a storyteller. and passionate in creativity, but you are absolutely right. Actually, this probably because I think the reason this kind of marketing was done, basically they wanted to catch the young generation who will spread the story on social media, because the Web 2.0 and UGC has shifted the power from marketers to the consumers now. And now, if you think about, say, brand communication, is that brand wins who not just tell better story, but their brand tribes tell better story. So because more young people are on social media, and my understanding here, actually, it may be absolutely wrong, that they use the young character so that young character can relate with them and they can spread this story on social media. That's what happened in case of Bangladesh, because people might think that even many people do not even know Bangladesh. So for Bangladesh, actually spreading the idea that Bangladesh exists and people can have some experience there, which can be fascinating, that was very important for Bangladesh. And they targeted this kind, they use this kind of characters because they are more on social media. So it's basically, marketing was before pinball. Pinball means you make a message, you throw it to the consumers, it goes, you succeeded. But now it was bowling, marketing was bowling before, but now it is pinball. So pinball means you create a story and then consumer will interact with this story. They will make their own story. They will transform this story. They will change this story. So now you need to play the game in such a way that your brand value is not diluted by the consumers. That's why this kind of tactical story should be there to come out every after some time. So it communicates the clarity of the brand value, and then customers keep on uploading their own stories onto the social media and the conversation begins. But the marketers want to keep the course as much as they can. But your question is very, very valid and very, very thought-provoking, that if there is over-tourism, what's happened? I think we probably need another discussion, and somebody who are more expert on this area, their wisdom should be taken. Some of the question, to be honest with you, I think more expert people in tourism, they can bring forward far better understanding. But I just try to answer this thing from the perspective of marketing, that who they are targeting and how they want to create a transmedia story or through different platform. And probably, but you are absolutely right. To what extent this is successful, that is still a question to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Asfatla. Yes, please.
Add a few thoughts of mine. So I remember Professor Jafari asked the question, is spiritual tourism, which we haven't mentioned, is it kind of a part of transformational tourism? Is it bigger? Is it smaller? I have to say there are quite a lot of different types of tourism that we didn't have the opportunity to mention or to discuss in depth. Obviously, an hour and a half is absolutely not sufficient, not enough to cover this whole area. And perhaps we can just continue the discussions using different forums. So my view will be that spiritual tourism is part of transformational tourism, perhaps looking at transformational tourism as the kind of the umbrella term within which we look at the different types of tourism which contribute. And then using storytelling to create a very responsible type of message, which could help destinations channel, the interest, tourism interest and travels, and make sure that actually they create responsible tourism rather than any type of tourism. So it could be manageable. And I think storytelling has really a very, very important part to play into, just meeting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, creating responsible tourism, creating that kind of combination of where we've got responsible tourists, but we also have very responsible hosts, entrepreneurial hosts as well, who really look at tourism as an opportunity for enrichment. And I think One of these examples, if I look back to the promotional videos of Japan, for instance, what I really liked. So the last campaign that I could see on YouTube was Enjoy My Japan. So that the concept movie, if anyone is interested, is something I would recommend you see. It's only 1 minute, but it already has 60 million views. So I think it is massive. So why do I think it's very, it's quite an important one? It only offers music, offers images. There is no voiceover, but it's so fast-paced, and it's one of these movies which really makes a great job in portraying the traditional, the modern, natural attractions of large cities, but also local sites throughout Japan. And they do it from a unique perspective, because instead of following the standard hero journey, I think it kind of makes everyone feel that they're the hero. And this is actually what they can aspire to achieve when visiting this country. So it creates that understanding that it's not only for one type of one segment, it's for young people, but it's equally for families, for professionals, for people who would like to, explore new cultures, new countries. So, well, yeah, I think I'll stop at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Svetla. As the time is running out, I would like to also raise some comments from the floor and from the audience. I would like to read one of those comments. Any travel is transformational for tourists. It provides a catalyst for transformation in the past. When information for other cultures are not available, traveling provided abundant catalyst. But now, in the age of globalization, we can know other cultures easily through internet. So now the power of traveling as catalyst diminished. Thus, we need to have travels that have interaction with local people, in which storytelling is more important. This is from Professor Yatsumoto, who is also participating in this floor. So I think we need to see how the power of storytelling can make the destination more sustainable, can make tourism a more beneficial tool for destination management, to distribute the benefit of tourism, to create an environment that the local community can be involved in, not only selling their product and provide chance for contributing to their livelihood, but also to promote their culture and their involvement. So tourism, I think, has unlimited capacity, and the storytelling is a powerful tool to bring more sustainability to the tourism itself. And the transformation through tourism can be defined by storytelling in many ways. And we also should see how the story should be modified and changed through the time, because people are changing their place, and the destination has a lot of changes too. If Professor Jafar, do you have any other comments, or do we close the panel from here and we try to have another webinar? I just pass it on to you as the final closing remarks, Jafar.
Well, I want to thank the panelists for a very comprehensive discussion on the subject. they set the stage on this subject. Now the challenge is to have a follow-up webinar as what acts do we put on the stage, how we apply the knowledge that we gained from this presentation in the field of application, in the field of marketing and branding. Again, going back to the videos, reminds me of a concept that was developed in 1970s by Stanley Plug and divided all the tourists into a number of categories. On one side, they were allocentric, and the other side, psychocentric. Allocentric are the youth, the younger people, the people who are interested in transformation, the people who are exploring, the people who are willing to rough it out, and so on and so forth. And I think the way I grasp this presentation today, allocentric is the group that would appeal to this subject and to this practice. The middle-centric would not, in my opinion. Psychocentric, maybe, the new psychocentric, the older people. Some of them, they discover tourism, travel at the end of their lives. And they have the time, they have the money. And when that on this journey, some of them would go for transformational transformational journey or tourism. So thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. Food for thought. The challenge, Kazem, for us is to find a follow-up panel on this that deals with the application of this knowledge. Maybe having videos or interviews from destinations that are using this concept in the sense of branding and marketing, but in healthy, sustainable manner, not in the sense of creating over-tourism and hostility. Once more, thank you very much for this wonderful panel.
Thank you very much, Jafar. I would like to have my sincere thank from SCoT to our speakers. Dr. Moin did a beautiful job of coordinating and bringing all the panel together. Thank you, Dr. Svetla and Dr. Kazmi. And we hope to see you again very soon in SCoT. The video recording of this webinar, as other webinars of SCoT, will be available in the SCoT video library. We have our YouTube channel, and people can watch the videos anytime. Please don't hesitate to distribute this to your students and network to watch this webinar before they attend your future webinars, because this is, I think, a difficult subject to understand. And I myself, I'm going to watch this webinar again before I participate as one of your students again. Thank you so much. And we hope to see you again in SCoT webinars. Thank you for all participants who accompanied us. Some of them are from Japan and Asia, and it's very late at night here. And thank you, Jafar, for attending the webinar in very early morning in Wisconsin, in your local time. Have a good morning and have a good evening. Bye-bye from SCoT. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.